So welcome in, and I'll get straight into it. This is why we shouldn't buff Noob Stomper characters. Just as a few examples, Squirrel Girl, Moon Knight, and Black Panther. Those three are the first ones that come to mind, no matter pretty much who you are. They are Noob Stompers, they dominate lower lobbies. Just taking Black Panther as an example, in competitive on PC, of all duelists in bronze rank, Black Panther is 4th in win rate with a 52.11. In silver, he's 2nd in win rate with a 54.85. In gold, he's 4th in win rate with a 54.38. And platinum, he's 6th with a 52.74. And in diamond, he's 11th with a 50.77. Only in grandmaster and above he really struggles. Now, why do I say we shouldn't buff him anymore? Well, you will see, and I think I will be proven right after this newest patch with his buffs and all of that, but you guys will be the judge of that if I'm correct in the long term. Not now, but after, next season's hero hot list gets revealed. I believe buffing him will just up his noob stomping ability and up him one rank. So instead of being top 10, top 5 through bronze, silver, gold, and platinum, and diamond, now he will also have a positive win rate in grandmaster, potentially even celestial and above. Trust me, I've had BP maybe 1 every 3 games this season, whether it be on my team, the enemy team, or both at the same time. The enemy team had Black Panther, my team was like, okay, I'm gonna diff them, and then, he did. But this is what the game is now. I mean, we all saw a few seasons ago when BP, nothing was changed about him, except for one thing. His no regs got fixed, meaning now he was just running rampant. And the game was, okay, who had the better BP that game? And that was a horrible meta. That's why he got banned nearly every single game, nearly every single rank, because of how prevalent and dominant he was after just fixing a bug of his. Now I'm seeing him a lot more. This Noob Stomper character for higher ranks. There aren't many characters in the game who I would say, and who the game says, has a positive win rate through bronze through diamond, and only struggle in grandmaster and celestial and above. I get people say they need to buff him because high ranks he's just very useless in, which he's not useless. No character is useless. Every character is good in the right hands. That's always been my sentiment. But a lot of people keep losing with him in higher ranks. People say that's he's a very weak character. A lot of counters. Well, not every game should be pandered to high ranks. If the vast majority of ranks are struggling against a character, you shouldn't buff him solely because high ranks don't struggle as much against him. I feel like that should be obvious. You shouldn't pander to high ranks, just like you shouldn't pander to very low ranks. You should balance the game based on the middle to higher end, not the highest end, not the lowest or low end. That's my sentiment. Not everyone will agree with that, I know that. But the problem you have pandering to low end is that dive would pretty much be non-existent. Because if you look at win rates, as of posted by the official Marvel Rivals team in the hero hot list, dive would pretty much be actually dead. Not how people say it was dead, because it was never dead, but it would actually be dead with how prevalent dive is down there. Because teams are a lot less coordinated, nobody peels, nobody's really skilled down there. So noob stomper characters, dive characters, just hard to hit, hard to deal with, very fast characters are going to get absolutely nerfed to the ground, especially like Penny. Ultron almost has a 60% win rate down there. I mean, all these characters are going to get nerfed to the ground. Just like if you look at Celestial and above, if you look at their win rates, which I think are more accurate to who actually needs a nerf, but still some characters are going to get absolutely nerfed to the ground, especially if you listen to certain content creators. People want to nerf Loki straight to the ground again. People want to nerf Mantis to the ground. People want to nerf Penny to the ground. Same with all of these characters, just because it has some difficulty dealing with them. Just because you're top 500 doesn't mean you can't get outplayed. Just because you're top 500 doesn't mean you're right. And a lot of people don't understand that. They don't want to. They don't really want to even entertain the idea. Marvel Rivals has always said they want to and are pandering and balancing the game around casual players. But I've never believed that since day one that they've been saying that. Why would you appeal to the casual side of a game while buffing Hawkeye 16 times, Hela 12, a Noob Stomper and Moon Knight 12 times, and you just don't pander to actual casual players? You're pandering to the high skilled players. Why else would you buff hella Hawkeye that many times? Why would you buff a Noob Stomper and Moon Knight that many times? Why would you continuously be buffing Spider-Man this many times? And that's a whole other issue right there, but on the Noob Stomper idea now, Moon Knight has been prevalent, and right now I believe he is A tier, and he completely counters a lot of playstyles. If you want to group up, well, you can't do that. Deadpool's ability where he heals in a radius, countered by Moon Knight. Loki's whole playstyle, countered by Moon Knight. There are a lot of playstyles and a lot of overall this team comps which are completely neutralized by Moon Knight. You want to play Thing? Nope, countered by Moon Knight. You want to play Groot? Nope, countered by Moon Knight. You want to play Hulk? Nope, countered by Moon Knight. Any big character is countered by Moon Knight, especially if you don't have a shield. And in the lower ranks, people have no idea how to deal with him, and people have no idea really how to counter him, because a lot of people down there are one tricks, and if someone goes Moon Knight against their one trick, they have no idea really what to do. And that just breeds toxicity, that breeds ego, that breeds everything bad down there in lower ranks. That people really don't understand that, because they think, okay, this character is bad in high ranks, that means we should, you know, give them a giant buff, which isn't the solution to anything. I think Moon Knight has also gotten around 12 to 13 buffs since season 0. But I know a lot of people don't really want to have that conversation. They believe, okay, this character I'm struggling with in higher ranks, other people are struggling with in higher ranks. That doesn't mean the character is underpowered if they struggle in higher ranks. While it can sometimes be the case, there's also cases where you just simply aren't good at that character up to a certain level. With, let's say, BP, you could be very good up to Grandmaster, but you start to really fall off because you aren't as skilled in BP as you're supposed to be in Celestial and above. And I think a lot of people don't get that concept. Sure, yes, can there be underpowered characters where they really struggle in high ranks? Yes. But there can also be a case where you just aren't as skilled as you think you are. And let's say a person, an Invis main, was flying through the ranks, went to Grandmaster, got to Celestial, and now that they're really struggling, they can't win, they're just doing bad every time they get into Celestial. Well, they may think, okay, Invis, they're not good in high ranks. That's why they need a buff. Would you agree with that? And I think that's stemming from a lot of problems. People take personal experience as the truth. People think personal experience is overall the better idea, the better truth. They think personal experience will get them through everything, but it's simply not the case. People need to learn how to adapt and to realize when it's actually their fault. And pushing up these Noob Stompers will just make that problem worse. Let's say there's a Moon Knight dominating throughout Bronze through Grandmaster. What do you think would happen if they get buffed? They're just going to be more dominant in lower lobbies and become more dominant in lobbies which they struggle, which they might now dominate too. It's almost like an infection in a way. As it gets stronger, it kills what's already killing even faster and just spreads more. So you're going to see the pick rate skyrocket, and you're going to see the win rate go up in all ranks. I get how buffing is, that's how buffing should be. A weak character gets buffed, now they're stronger. But you shouldn't do it with these Noob Stomper characters. It's extremely unhealthy for the game. And guess what? If you buff a Noob Stomper, maybe next they'll be on your level. Because Noob Stomper characters, they mostly are in this issue, which is they go after people who don't know how to deal with them. Well, if you buff the character, there's gonna be less options how to deal with them. Like, let's say old Moon Knight to now Moon Knight. Look at how small his ult was compared to before. If you don't remember, I think it was maybe a third of the size. So people who knew how to deal with him then, oh, that's not really how it's gonna work now, because the ult is way bigger, along with several other buffs, the several other 11 buffs he got since then. And maybe his noob stopping ability, it won't just stop at Grandmaster. Now it'll evolve to Celestial, where now he's dominating Celestial lobbies. Because what he was good at before in dominating lower lobbies just pretty much went up to Celestial. And then the problem still arises. Well, maybe he's not so good in turning one above all games. That means he's very weak, so we need to buff him again. So this is why we shouldn't pander to top 500 lobbies at all. A character could be dominant through Bronze through Grandmaster, Bronze through Celestial, Bronze through Eternity. But as long as top 500 lobbies don't experience the pain They think they're an underpowered character. They think they're not a problem. They think whoever is playing them are throwers. And overall, just let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. My opinion, we shouldn't buff Noob Stompers. So just create a giant snowball of a reaction and make the game extremely unfun for especially newer players and even existing players. It'll absolutely just decimate lower lobbies, lower lobby experience, and overall it's the worst gaming experience in total. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.